In my first 2 years of business, I made $2,000. I made $1,000 the first year. I made $1,000 the second year. And looking back, the reason that I didn't make more was because I was not really clear where I was going, or I didn't really understand. I have a clear roadmap how to get there. Part of it was my fault. Part of it wasn't. Part of it was I had adults saying, hey, you're young, you got time. Because at the time I was 22, 23. You're like, oh, you're young, you got time to figure it out. But before you know it, you're 25, you're 26, you're 27. So that was the first thing. The second thing is I just didn't know this world existed. I didn't know you could pay someone to consult you, to help you build something and get something off I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a possibility. And so my first 2 years of business, I kind of did things on my own. I didn't really have a plan. And then my third years of business, I hired my first coach. I actually went on to hire 6 coaches that year. And I had a roadmap and a plan. I was able to reverse engineer the numbers. So my goal was always to hit $1 million in a month. And I got there in 18 months. Once I started making money, it was 18 months. The first year I did $1 million in 12 months. So I was averaging, what is that? 83,000 a month, right? But when I started running ads and I did my marketing, I was able to go, okay, most leads cost me $20. Most calls cost me $200. Okay, how many calls close? 1 out of 10. Okay, so how many calls do I need to make, each sale is what, $10,000. Okay, so I need to make 10 sales, which means I need 100 calls, which means I need 1,000 leads, which means I need to spend whatever amount, right? And so you're actually able to reverse engineer numbers in your business. And that's what makes business fun, is because a lot of people, they think it's all emotional decisions. It's actually not. It's all logistical. It's all logical. It's all numbers. It's numerical. And that's what makes growing a business really fun. And it's actually very easy. So my advice is be very clear on what you want to get to and then reverse engineer it. So if, for example, if you want to hit $1 million in a year, that's $83,000 a month. That's 20-ish thousand a week. Okay. That's however much a day. Doing the math, I'm not doing it on the fly right now. You can then break that down to how many sales, how many calls, how many leads. You can break it down all numerically so you know each and every day if you're hitting the mark or not. And that is what helps grow a business. And that's also what gives you confidence, is because it now feels it's in your control. You can actually control the outcome versus it just happens or it doesn't happen. That's how most people go through life, and that's not a great way to do it. Now let's reverse engineer that into your daily calendar. Now I'll try to have my team show it on the screen, but I have a Google Calendar and every single part of my day is scheduled or it's blocked off. So meaning there's nothing scheduled, but it's blocked off. So I have time to do whatever I need to do during that time. The reason that's important is because if you do not plan your days accordingly, most people just kind of float through life and they're making decisions based on how they feel. So the whole point of a calendar is, again, is to help you not make decisions based on how you feel. It helps you make the same decision every single day. So today, I just came off a 4-day water fast. I feel a little lethargic, I guess you could say. I don't feel the best, but because this is on my schedule to do, I'm going to do it anyways. You need to make sure that your calendar has exactly what you're going to do. Even if it's just work, if you have 8 to 12 work, like have that in your calendar and have something you can follow, just like the gym. Like I go to the gym 6 days a week. I have my routine and I have times I go and I have the sets I'm going to do and the muscles I'm going to work out. I do that for a reason. If you're not doing that, I just think you're kind of wishing and hoping things will work out. Especially as my business has scaled and I had 100+ employees, I have to have things scheduled. Otherwise, something else will get moved into that place. There's a million things to do. And so if you don't prioritize what's most important, then things will just fall in your lap that you're not necessarily needing to do to grow the business. So a key thing here that I do is I schedule the night before. Even if I'm a day behind, schedule as far in advance as you can, usually a week ahead. But if you can't, the night before I will write down pen and paper on a workbook or a notebook what I need to do. Most important at the top, least important at the bottom. And that will help me the next day when I wake up. I'll just keep working until those things are crossed off. Or make sure you block it in your Google Calendar. And you can do this either way. You can either have exactly what you're working on in your Google Calendar, or you can just have a block. Let's say it's 3 hours and it says work. And then when you look at your notebook, you know what you need to work on. That's been vital to my success, especially when you get tired or you're overwhelmed or you have a lot on your plate. That's going to be a great asset for you to fall back on, because when it's just on a piece of paper, you don't have to think about it, you just do it. And so do that the night before, think about everything you need to do, and then the next day becomes very easy to take action upon. And if you're planning your days, you better be tracking your progress. So in my business, I'll try to show something on the screen. We have sheets pretty much for everything. The key thing though is what you're spending money on, how many leads you're getting, how many calls you're getting, how many sales you're getting. The reason you need to know those numbers is that tells you how effective the business is operating. So people, they don't know what to look at in the business, so they don't know what to spend their time on because they're not looking at their numbers. If, for example, I am spending $10,000 on ads, let's say, and my lead cost is too high, that tells me there's either a follow-up issue, texting, emailing, messaging, or that tells me maybe there's an ad issue. Like, it's telling you where to look. That's kind of what the numbers are there for. If I have a call issue, it's usually a follow-up issue, or it's a VSL issue, video sales letter, right? Or it's a presentation issue, right? It's not resonating with the audience. If I have a closing issue, it's a sales rep problem, or maybe we're getting the wrong people on the call. The whole point is then it helps you look and you figure out what the actual bottleneck is. Running a business off numbers is absolutely the way to go, because if you track your numbers, you're making all your decisions based off logic versus emotion. You never want to make emotional decisions. So make sure as your business is starting to scale, you track the data. I'm the type of guy usually that as I was growing my business, I actually struggled at that a little bit. I would always kind of run the business by the seat of my pants. But as the business gets bigger and you have more people and you get farther out from the ground floor, the numbers are absolutely vital to tell you where to look and where to spend your time. If your numbers are good, that means, okay, leave it alone. If your numbers are bad, that tells you there's a problem there, and it either means it's a hiring issue, there's a training issue, maybe someone just didn't do very well, or there's a leads issue. Again, like, the numbers will tell you what to do. So a lot of times when I'm working with business owners, the reason they don't know what to do is they don't know what the number should be, number one. So they don't even know what a good or bad number looks like. And then number two, they're not tracking it. And even if you're tracking everything, we then have to make sure your environment isn't screwing you up.